walk me through the journey of a typical borrower. Like how much are they borrowing and what do they use the money for and what does the money bring to them? I guess that will paint a clear picture.
Yeah, I mean, most of our bars are in the bad credit history to no credit history, and excuse me. And so, these individuals, they apply for the loans online. Granted, everything's done digitally. The digital banking service in Kenya is M-Pesa. I highly recommend everyone, kind of Google that, understand how that works, who started it. But it's been around since 2007. It basically has allowed folks that don't have access to banking services to generate or borrow capital from the microloan platforms that are available, right? So, these folks, again, our average loan's $57 a loan. These are 30-day loans. Most of these loans are to folks that don't have good credit or no credit at all. And so they're kind of at the high end of the interest rate. But when you look at it, if I'm borrowing $50 and I'm paying back 20% interest on a 30-day loan, I'm paying back $60. That doesn't sound like a lot, but in essence, it is, right? And so they use these loans. We know for a fact that 90% of the loans are used for business purposes. And again, they go to market, they sell their products, they make profit, they pay back the loans plus interest, and they do this start the cycle all over again. And we have individuals that are borrowing two or three times a month because they're doing really well with their business purposes.
Okay, so what you're saying, just let me recap if I hear it correctly. We're saying that most of the borrowers are street vendors where, the people who are selling like bananas or selling like, you know, small things on the street, and
Yeah,
they need this as their startup capital to buy the goods and then to operate their small business.
correct.
I
I'll give you an example. I just saw this because we had a testimonial sent to us. We had three or four testimonials sent to us, and one was a gentleman who's a fixes cars for a living, right? He's a mechanic, but he doesn't have enough capital to buy parts to have on hand, right? So when an individual comes and says, "Hey, something's wrong with my car," then they figure out, okay, it's the carburetor. Well, he has to go buy the carburetor. He uses the microloan to go buy the carburetor. He does the labor, fixes the car, and then he makes enough profit that he pays back that small loan that bought the carburetor plus interest, and then he starts all over again. But he doesn't have enough capital just to have parts on hand, right? Like we're so
understand.
accustomed to going to an AutoZone and you order what you want, and they come back with the parts you need, right? Well,
So
they
let me ask,
they don't
yeah,
have the capital to do that.
let me ask you this though. For the money he borrowed and with that jaw-dropping interest rate per month, um, is he able to make any profit or is just really like borrowing so that he can sustain himself?
Well, it's kind of both, right? There is to sustain what he's doing, but then there's also, folks that are selling in the market that are making, good profit, and then, they're able to establish credit and start borrowing more capital, and that's the most important thing.
Okay, okay. So we're telling me that um people borrow this to scale their small operations so they can, have some profit after paying you guys. At the end of the day, they can send their kids to school, they can, feed their family, and they can grow bigger. Is that, did I hear that right?
No, that's correct. I mean, and that's the most important thing, right? Because now they're participating in the economy, and that's that builds confidence, and that confidence spills over into the household, and it makes things a lot better for their families.
Right, right. I think you mentioned once that, do you have the number for like, for example, a guy who, sells oil, sells gas, whatever? And I think you mentioned the stats where, for every dollar or he borrowed or for every interest dollar he pays, he's making a certain amount over that. Do you have that?
Yeah, it's usually between 20 and 30% of what they're selling, right? The markups are pretty good for them. But again, because they specialize in a specific consumer good that
Right,
is needed, right?
right, right,
And so it's important, they have the availability to borrow this capital.
right.
They go buy the inventory, and it's a win-win for everybody, right? Because they're buying from the warehouses that sell those products, and those
So
folks are making money too.
right. So what you're saying is that their markup is about like 67% and they only have to pay you 20%. So still like they're winning and you're winning. That's
Right, of course, of course.
okay. Got
Look, we're
it.
doing a million loans a month right now. It's incredible to even phantom that.
A million, not loan amount, but the request, right? A million request,
No, it's a million loans that we're giving out
but it's not a dollar amount, right? It's because I think you're mentioning like it's 57 per loan,
per loan, correct?
right? So you're lending out about 60 million per month. That's your dollar amount, right?
Yeah, right now it's 65 million a month right
Got
now.
it. Got it. Got it. I just want to make sure the audience understand it's not a million as a dollar amount. It's the number of loan
Number
applications.
of loans, correct,
Yes.
correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay. After we talk about borrowers. So we understand why it exists now.